You were having contractions. You were pissed. And then
Like,
you looked at me
phone,
and you were
and he's
annoyed.
recording me.
And after I think like 2 weeks, you looked at the video and like,
Did I?
it looks nice.
I don't even
Bad. Hi there, I'm Timothy.
And I'm Rich Gold, and welcome to
episode 8 of
Relationship
Notes and Stories. It has been a lovely journey. 8 episodes already.
Yeah.
At the biggest parties, we are celebrating 6 years.
Imagine stepping into our 7th.
6 years, entering 7.
Say it
We have
again.
now become those.
We're
Those people.
we are like above size. You know, and they say honeymooners. Bit of. We are like.
But you know, the funniest thing is, we're here saying 7.
I should even cheers. But
Oh, yeah. A toast
imagine.
to love, relationships, children, forthcoming money. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, babe. How have you been?
Me, I'm celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
Ebenezer. Thus far that the Lord has brought us. Yeah, so I've just reflected. I'm really thanking God for where we are, and not just where we are in terms of years, but the growth we've had as individuals, but as a couple. I think some people take much longer to get where we are. In terms of the fact that we are where we are, we know, of course, ourselves, but at year 6. And we're stepping into 7.
If you want to add
You, how are you? No, well,
No, let's just dive in. I'll talk about how I am later. It's like,
no, I needed to find. You said I don't ask you how you are.
All right, I'm fine. I'm well. I'm good. I'm feeling old. Crossing into 7-year territory.
You feel what?
Yeah.
Like an old husband,
I feel like I'm still a young person in marriage. Maybe it's because we have friends who are really old. There's a couple who are friends of ours, and they've been married like 35 years.
Even 40.
Even the ones of 40.
So we are we're inspiring, but
Where people are like, oh, you should talk to my child. And I'm like, okay, how old is he? He's 40. I'm like, okay. He's not married yet. I'm like, okay.
oh, so talk to him and encourage him.
Yeah, like that pressure that's coming from them. It's just interesting.
But it means, I think it's also something to commend you on, because then they've probably seen something about you that they want you to be able to pass on to their child. So
It's interesting. Parents can want something for their children more than the children probably want it for themselves.
yeah, because they have your best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's a fact. But
So as we celebrate this milestone, we want to just share with you, and I don't know, we've not prepared, but it's just conversation really, that we want to share with you our 6 lessons we've learned in these 6 years. And we hope that it can bless someone who's at month 1, month 2, we're at 72 months. Awesome.
we have not prepared really. Because I'm saying it and I'm like, wait, my wife probably has some points in her head, but I'm going to wing it. Can I go first?
Really? Okay, fine, go ahead.
Celebrate small improvements and steps forward. Whenever you reach a milestone, sometimes we are quick to compare against some of the people who are ahead of us and say, man, these guys have been married 10 years. They have built their own house. They have like multiple cars. They have a farm in the village. Children are walking, talking, and even going to school.
A country home.
And a country home. Then they are planning on about building their parents a home. And they're like pressure. But then we forget that we came from somewhere where we had nothing. It's not like we have political connections or some random connections that will open up doors for us that are extreme. although we have the major one, which is God. But then the steady progress of improvement, like as you were talking at the beginning, and realizing where we have come from and where we are right now. For many, it may not look like much, but for us, it's a very big transformation, like becoming disciplined with money.
What are you saying? We becoming disciplined?
Me becoming more disciplined with money and spending. You becoming spontaneous.
Yeah.
The battle over meat that needs to be eaten or not eaten. But just seeing that growth.
I didn't understand that one, but I guess you mean like we have a rhythm.
Yeah, you could put it that way. But that's the progress, and just celebrating it is something that's important, and recognizing that looking to others will give you probably, if let's say there are people who you're looking at and being inspired by, let them inspire you to improve. But do not look at them to compare yourself and look at your spouse or look down on your current situation. And if you see people who are not where you were, being wise enough to share with them or help them out to get better. Yeah, that's my first.
Okay, well, mine is to do everything unto God, really. To do everything unto God, and there's a scripture I love to reference in regards to that, which is you work at everything with all your heart as you're working unto the Lord and not man, because it's God who gives you the reward, and your inheritance is from Him. The reward is from Him. So thinking about that, it means in context of the marriage, and one of the things I've learned is to do my part. And when I'm doing my part, I do it unto God, not because you're watching me, and not because you will react, not because to make you happy, not because it will make you clap your hands or appreciate me. And even in times when you've not appreciated me, I know that the reward is not from you, because if I'm seeking a reward from you, it means I'm done. But then if I'm seeking a reward from someone higher than you, it means I can, when I do that, the standard is raised and I'll get a reward from him, but then he could also appreciate me. So really, that's one of my biggest lessons. And in doing that, that means that I bring my all, I bring my best all the time, by the grace of God, obviously. And not look at what he's doing or what you're not doing, or where you're falling short, or where you're not helping, but I stay in my lane, keep my eyes fixed on him, and know that this marriage, this part, when I go and stand before God and he says, tell me, how did you take care of, how are you a good steward of my handsome son I gave you? I'll be like, I did. I can confidently say, by the grace of God, I would say, my desire is to say, I did my best. From the bottom of my heart. Not, maybe I could have done if he did this, or if only he stopped this. No, it's regardless of what the season was and what the circumstances were and what on your side it was, that I was doing my part. So that's one of my biggest lessons.
The other one I would give as a lesson from my side is denial of self and celebration of the other and us. By denial of self, in our last episode, one of our last episodes, I talked about how when you get married, you're an individual, and now you have someone else in your space. But learning to realize that you have to put the other person first. Learning to realize that love is sometimes sacrificing what you have for the joy and happiness of the other. I feel like that's something that's very important to be able to allow for the relationship to move forward, and also for the other person to feel appreciated and valued. Because sometimes it's in sacrifice that somebody has an acknowledgement of appreciation. Not necessarily to give an example of us, but just a generic example. If, let's say, I knew you were really exhausted and tired and worn out, and you have just come back from a very long trip, and you're really dying to sleep, but you decide to sit there and spend 3 hours or 2 hours or whatsoever with your spouse and just have a conversation and just spend time together in each other's company, because I've been away from you and I know that you want it a lot. It is something that is actually beautiful and helps the love grow. And I feel every day in your marriage, once you sacrifice and put the other person first and continuously think about them as much as you used to when you were dating, it will go a very long way. Because when you're dating, you sacrifice a lot and you do so many things.
Nice. Basically to keep stirring the love, because sometimes when you get married, many times guys forget the pursuit and how they were, you put a lot of effort and intentionality in the pursuit that after it ends, you're like, we've arrived, we're here now, so yeah, let's leave. I think building up on what you've said for me is communication. And as we've always said, that we're going to have a whole episode on communication and our journey regarding communication, but I want to say we're not where we started, and communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. So aside from God being the center of your relationship, communication, sharing and there's something I like to tell you. When I say use words, I want you to use words. Tell me with words. And you like to say I'm good with words because I will tell you how I feel, what I need, and sometimes I can know that this is happening because this happened and I'm trying to deal with this, but I need you to help me with this. And it's really, really clear. And I needed to learn to allow you to get a place where, or to start to get to a place where you can also do the same. But that has helped us a lot in terms of understanding each of our perspectives, because you can be going through the same for one situation and both of you are experiencing it so differently. And without communication, you may think he understands your perspective and you understand his when you're completely on different pages.
The other one is things.
This is number 5 now.
So this is number 5.
Yeah.
So I have to make it good. The other one I would mention is not necessarily one that involves you as a couple, but one that involves the relationships around you and the need for you to invest in them in order for your marriage to grow. Like, for example, I need to invest in the relationship with your family so that they are able to pour also into our family and we're able to pour into theirs. I don't know if that makes sense. I need to invest in friendships with my guy friends, because they are going to be there to remind me to think about my wife's anniversary. They're going, not that they particularly.
Just so you forget.
No, not particularly that. But then they will also help with wisdom in certain scenarios and help in the bettering of me as a husband to you. I've been in situations where we have talked as guys and as guy friends before, like marriage. We have not been married that long. But then in those moments of conversation, you would call out one another on something and say, this is not nice. This is not good. And that place of accountability helps improve the stature of the man that you are. And so now in marriage, having those relationships and maybe having other couples you're having conversations with, having friends you're having chats with and all, can really help to, for lack of a better word, enhance the ecosystem in which your marriage exists. And that's make it more beautiful. A flower on its own is beautiful, but a flower surrounded by many other flowers that becomes a bouquet is glorious. So once you invest in the surrounding, your marriage will also look beautiful. Because imagine a scenario where we are celebrating our anniversary, our friends are celebrating our anniversary next week, the other week, and then we come together and just decide, okay, let's celebrate our wives together. Let's celebrate our husbands together. Let's have conversations together. It will make the marriage better when you invest in everything else, as well as also watering your marriage.
True, that's very important.
It's very important. Actually, water your marriage first, then relationships.
And I think, like, just listening to your point, I was just like, what? She's gotten married. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what. But I was coming from a place of, you talk about relationships, I want to talk about community. That significance of community and accountability, which you tackled a bit on. And I think the only thing I will add, in saying this community accountability is that you're able to do life with and walk with, like find couples that are older than you, that are same peers, that are younger than you, because as you're mentored and as you're groomed, you're also giving it forward, and you're also mentoring other couples and creating that community of relationships that just glorify God, that thrive. I mean, we live in an era where it's always and it breaks my heart to hear so many stories of you go to someone's wedding, you celebrate it, and I'm not saying that I'm trying to be sensitive here, because I know there are circumstances that lead to that. But I think where I'm coming from is, don't do marriage alone. It's difficult to do marriage alone, and you will think you end up being isolated, and you'll think you're experiencing circumstances unique to you and you can't open up about them. But interestingly, you'll share with other couples, or and find that even a couple that's younger than you has found a solution for what you're going through, and yet you're way older than them. And that's the beauty of doing life with a community, people you trust, people you can be accountable to, people you can be vulnerable with, because it's a very key space in not only just relationships, but also in marriage. Because you're two people trying to come together, trying to understand each other. But if you hear another wife give her perspective and how she overcame certain things, you're encouraged. Or even you sharing about how you overcame certain things, you encourage someone else to
a point I also wanted to just bring. I know that we said 6, or maybe this would be a bonus point, but maybe it is celebrate your spouse, celebrate your person.
I thought it came in the celebrate milestones, and
they celebrate milestones, but intentionally celebrating them, cheering them on, being their number one fan, showing them that they can do it, and reminding them they can do it, challenging them, because you have to realize, when you are married, you're the person who knows me more than anyone else. You're the one who knows.
Well, assuming you open up and allowing me, you allow me that space to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if I celebrate you, I allow for you to thrive and become the individual that you are meant to be.
Yeah.
If I do not, you will just exist as the person that you are in your current state. Continues. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You are.
Yeah.
So, what's your relationship not all story?
I think
we've given so many notes.
So that's just the notes today. I think let me pick a story. I don't know if it's a story, but it's funny how when you get older, you look back at your parents, and I should call my dad. I know it has been like 4 days, but I just miss the guy. And I think he's just a superstar. As I'm getting older and growing in marriage, I'm starting to wonder how he navigated certain seasons back then with the little resources to raise me into the man that I am. And I'm like, I need to celebrate this guy. So it might not be a story, it might be a note of a totally different relationship, not with my wife, with my dad. Just celebrate the guy.
What you can celebrate him?
Dad, you're a cool guy.
But that's all?
The end.
No. Use your words. You just said hindsight, and you're thinking about.
There's an episode on communication. I can see what you're doing. The hand gesture. I
want you to use your words and talk to Dad. Like, what was actually in your heart when you said this? Because you just said, cool. Tell him something.
Dad, you're a special guy. You're a hard man. Let me leave it at that.
Okay, well, I don't even know if I have a relationship not full story. Actually, I should ask you, what's like one of your hilarious moments in these past 6 years?
Really? So the funny thing is there are so many, so it's hard to pick out one. And
all memorable. Okay.
I think the one which is hilarious, I know you're going to slap me or kick me after this, is
which one?
The time when you were expecting and you were in labor and you are walking down. When you're walking down the house, coming down to the car, and I decided in all my wisdom to record the moment because I knew you would want to look back at the memory. But in that moment, you were so annoyed, you were having contractions, you were pissed, and then
Like
you looked
he has
at
a
me,
phone
and you were
and he's
annoyed.
recording me.
And after I think like 2 weeks, you looked at the video and like,
Did I?
it looks nice.
I don't even.
But was I smart? Yeah, I was smart.
I think I was smart. But I also don't know how I did it.
I didn't even cry in the back. Can you imagine? Anyway, yeah, so I don't know if that counts for you.
But like, how can that be a hilarious story when I was actually going through some?
It's hilarious when I thought about it on my own, because I remember I was holding our baby at that time, but you were looking at the videos and you're like, oh, the outfit was very nice. Do you see? And I'm like, I wish you knew how in that moment you gave me an eye. You wanted to strangle me. You wanted to punch me in the face.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know if I would, if we went back, if I would say record. Because I think I cherish moments. So I think whilst I appreciate the fact that I can go back to that video, yeah, in that moment, what I was experiencing, I just needed your presence.
I was
The phone,
present.
no.
present.
Exactly.
And I had proof of
No,
presence.
no.
I had
You were
receipts to prove
distracted.
it.
You were distracted. But yeah. Now you've talked about that journey and you're making me think about giving a similar story in relation to that. You're not.
Let's leave that one. If you're thinking of that particular same day, that story is a whole topic of its own.
That's a whole episode.
Yeah.
I think maybe let me not tackle that
Okay.
story.
After 6 years, you can't pick a moment that you look back at and you're like, I never met this guy. What did I see?
There's so many. You've done so many. For those who know you anyway, silly things. And I'm trying to pick one. And the easiest that came to my mind is on hold because it's going to be a whole episode on its own regarding, that journey that we went through together. But I think the story, still in relation to that season of our lives, is just to appreciate how much you were present. It was a difficult time for things, for certain, I don't know how to put it.
What was a difficult time, just for context?
Oh, I'm saying the season of pregnancy being difficult, and not difficult in the sense that the pregnancy was difficult, but there were certain elements around it that made it a bit difficult. And just looking back and appreciating that you lived through your vows in that season, and he was there for better, for what actually it's in sickness and in health, and he really had my back, and it was, yeah, thank you, that was really nice. So that was one of my memorable moments the past 6 years.
You're welcome. So, catch you next time on Relationship Notes and Stories.
Yeah.